My name is Dave Politis, and I'm a former police detective and current investigative author focused primarily on mysterious disappearances in the North American wilderness. My journey into the disappearances began when I was visiting a national park and was approached by two park rangers who knew I was an author. They described strange circumstances over the years involving missing hikers. I immediately began looking into the phenomena. 8 years and 8 books later, I've now researched 1,200 cases that fit the profile we are about to examine. While these cases involve people of all ages and all walks of life, I've chosen to present some of the most intriguing cases involving hunters. Generally speaking, hunters are very experienced, aware, and knowledgeable outdoorsmen. And so when one vanishes, you know something unusual has occurred. One of the most perplexing cases I've examined involves a hunter named Thomas Messick, who in 2015 went missing in Northeast New York. For people who don't know, the FBI doesn't investigate missing adults. There's a subcategory for the FBI that they can become involved in the disappearance of extremely young children under a certain set of criteria. So the million-dollar question is, why would the FBI arrive on Tom Messick's case?
He loved the outdoors. He loved being in the woods. Hunting and fishing was his life. You want a cookie, honey? Huh? He was a very good husband, very good father. And I don't think you will find anybody who ever met him who didn't like him.
And how many kids did you guys have?
We had 3 sons, Tommy, Gene, and Rob.
So tell me about your dad. What kind of guy was he?
It's kind of do what you got to do to get things done. Never had a contractor in the house. We always did everything. You name it. I mean, we lifted the house up and put a foundation under it. When I was digging it out, I looked up at him. He had a cup of coffee in his hand, and I said, "Why don't we get a backhoe?" And he said, "I have one right there."
And what did you guys like to do as a family?
We camped. We did a lot of camping. And the boys loved it. And, you know, I was kind of the outsider because they were boys. And they hunted and fished and did those things.
I knew Tom before we were in the hunting camp because he used to work in Norton with me. I knew him probably about 55 years, somewhere around there.
What'd you guys like to do together?
Hunt and fish. That's what we done all the time, really.
We used to travel together with our kids for years.
Yeah, we had trailers, which we used to go trailing all the time, who come to think of it. We all got the same vacation at Norton, so we all took off and went to Saranac, different places like that. You know?
So what was your introduction to the outdoors?
It was always there, because my father always hunted and fished. We got a camp up north, not far from Brant Lake, for about a week every year. A bunch of guys get together and go hunting.
He taught hunter training for a long, long time. He probably taught every one of the kids around here.
Tom was a great guy. He was an old airborne ranger. He was unbelievable in the woods. He taught my hunting class for me to get my hunting license. He taught survival.
He had gunpowder blow up in his face, and that's how he was. He had like 159 stitches in his hand, and he lost his eye that way. So he would say to these kids, this is what happens if you're not careful.
I mean, he had a lot of issues over the years, but never really seemed to slow him down any.
So obviously he had one eye.
Yeah, he was sort of blind. It wasn't really that great, but he could actually see out of it.
And hearing, there was an issue?
Yeah, he wasn't that great with the hearing. He needed hearing aids.
Would Tom be the kind of guy that would drink a lot, or?
No, he didn't drink that much, no.
So the day when you guys went hunting, did you guys drink when you hunt?
No. We might have beer with us in the truck. When we come out of the woods, we always might have a beer or something like that. But other than that, nothing excessive, you know?
How often do you think about it?
Oh, I think about it quite often, you know. Always pops into your mind.
We were doing just kind of a quick thing. It was late, almost lunchtime by the time we ended up going up there. Kind of just a 2-hour thing until evening, and we were gonna go back to camp and hunt around camp until dark.
How many guys went up there that day?
7.
Someone made the decision to hunt over by Brant Lake. Who made that decision?
I did. I just mentioned that we had state land there. We kind of agreed to hunt it. The road to Lily Pond.
I mean, you go up that road straight to the lake, and we parked right at the lake. And the old guys literally walked down that road in 100-yard increments. And walked in 30, 40 yards at the most and sat down.
Al was the first watcher. I was the second. Joe Capicelli, and then Tom.
So Tom was furthest from the
He
lake.
was the furthest one.
We followed the trail along the lake, come up that snowmobile trail, popped into the woods and swung up to him. A slow hunt and drive type thing.
The young boys said to the old man, you 4 sit here, and if we see any deer, we'll push them towards you. And if Tom was a watcher, Tom would not have moved. I know that for a fact. If he was a watcher, that's where he was.
Did you see any deer?
No.
Did you hear anything?
I heard a strange noise in the woods, but I don't know what it was. It was a different noise than what I usually hear, you know?
Like what?
It's even hard to explain but it was different. Something different than I never heard before in the woods. I just can't say what it was, you know?
How long in duration was it? Was it 2 or 3 seconds?
No, it's just zap, whatever it is, you know?
How far away was it?
I'd say it's probably 150 yards, something like that.
Was it toward Tom or away from Tom?
No, this was up towards the hill, top of the hill. Yeah.
Did you tell the cops this?
Yeah, I told them that, but they just passed it off, you know?
The report said that your dad was carrying a walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
Who else had one?
we all did.
All on the same channel?
Yep.
Anybody ever hear anything?
No.
Did your dad know how to use it?
Yep.
Tom, you around?
It was one of those things where, he should have been out by now.
Called, you know, he should have been sitting on the watch.
Can you hear me? Holler back.
And then we went and started looking for him.
Never know, you might see something.
That too.
Anybody fire any shots?
Yep, yeah, we fired shots. Somebody went down and called the Rangers, and then we just kept looking.
They stayed overnight at the truck, beeping the horn, firing shots, different things.
Robbie called me that night and said, Daddy's missing in the woods, but don't worry, we'll find him. And I said, I'm coming up. And he said, no, don't come up. I'm sure we're going to find him, and I'll call you.
We did note that when we were up there, it seemed to be devoid of wildlife. You know, we didn't see squirrels, chipmunks, deer, any signs of them.
How unusual is that for your mountains out here?
Thought it was strange. Like I said, we didn't see any signs of anything out there.
So when you heard about it, what'd you do?
Drove up there, joined the search. And I figured it would be, go up there and we'll find him and it'd be over, you know. The Air National Guard was going over with infrared. State police had helicopters with a guy out. You walked through the woods, no matter how thick they were, you had to see the other guy's ankle. We went through some terrain you just wouldn't believe, swamps up to your chest, and we covered every bit of it.
They were thinking maybe he got to a road and got hit by a car. And so they checked on the sides of the roads and never found anything.
The first couple days, I thought for sure we were going to find him. After about the third or fourth, I said, boy, this ain't good.
They would have what they called bump lines that they would run through the forest, and we knew that was like a start and a stop.
The guy in the end had a roll of string and would tie it to a tree and just keep walking, and when we were done with that grid, they'd tie it off and everybody would shift to the other side and walk back.
So you know that between this string line, and between your bump lines, that area has been covered.
A few days later, we went back to the same areas and did them the other way. I mean, we covered every inch of ground up there.
The immediate area looked like a spider web because not only did they go this way, they went this way, and they went that way. And so there was string everywhere.
They had over 300 people in there one day.
People asked who he was, like, was he the governor's brother or something? It was incredible.
Tons of volunteer search and rescue teams that came out with their K9 units. I mean, they hit, I guess, for a little while, but for not very long.
Day two that we were involved with the search up there, it rained heavily all day.
Not even a candy wrapper. Not that my husband would throw out a candy wrapper, because he wouldn't. That'd be in his pocket. But nothing.
You would think that you'd find some trace if somebody was there, especially a weapon, because a weapon's not going to disappear. It's not going to blow away.
I kind of like to know what happened, but I don't think we ever will. Even if they found him, we wouldn't know what happened. I mean, something odd happened, obviously. We just don't know what.
If the victim is with others and decides to move away from them and be on their own, that's the point in time something happens and the victim disappears. We call this the point of separation. The most common time for a victim to disappear is in the mid to late afternoon hours. Granite boulders and rock fields. Victims are often found to disappear in the areas of granite or rock fields. Victims found or disappearing near water. This is a very common trait and one that happens anywhere in the world and isn't isolated to a geographical area. There appears to be a weather incident in close proximity to the time that the person disappears or when the search starts. The weather issue can be anywhere from a dust storm to a full-blown blizzard. Disability or illness. Oftentimes, the victim is later found to have either an obvious or a very subliminal disability or illness. Canines can't find a scent or lose a scent quickly. This is an extremely common profile point that's probably in 95% of all the cases that have been documented. This isn't an indictment of search and rescue, but for some unknown reason, the victims are found in an area that had been searched maybe dozens of times. Clothes, shoes removed. A common trait is that the victims are missing clothing or shoes at the time they're found. Unknown cause of death. If the victim is found, and when they go through a medical examination, the coroners can't determine a cause of death. And finally, clusters. There's a geographical clustering effect to the victims that fit the missing 411 profile. There can be anywhere from 3 to 70 or 80 people in each geographical cluster.